How would you like to take the Valentine's Day Marriage Challenge? Valentine's Day is a great day for couples. Often we go out to eat with our spouse, get some flowers, and buy a box of candy.
But what if this Valentine's Day you could do something really fun that would celebrate and nurture your relationship, and it doesn't cost any money and would deepen your love with your spouse in a meaningful way?
We would like to invite you to take the Valentine's Day Marriage Challenge. Now, a couple of things about marriage. Where does marriage come from? Well, it comes from God. The very first chapters in the Bible say that God created us, male and female, and made us to be helpers one to another. That is, God structured marriage into the very fabric of our world. Why did God do this? Again, in the very first chapters of the Bible, God says of Adam that it was not good for him to be alone. So marriage is that basic structure of life that enables us to share life with someone else so we don't have to be alone and do life all by ourselves. God has given us the family as a place of relationship, of love, and joy, and that's His good gift to the world. So the first thing to say is that if God has helped you find a spouse who loves you and whom you love, it is a good gift from God for which to give thanks. Be grateful to God for the gift of your marriage. It is also this relationship of love that turns out to be the perfect place for children to come into the world and be loved and cared for and nurtured. Now, this doesn't mean that our marriages are perfect. If we were only all perfect people, but we're not. For that reason, we have to learn to be kind, let little things go, and think the best of the other instead of the worst.
In a real sense, marriage is God's school of character in which we grow up, have some of the rough edges of our lives softened, and learn to love other people, not just in theory, but in practice. So our hope for you in this Valentine's Day Marriage Challenge is that you will remember to give thanks to God for your marriage, not to take it for granted, but work to treasure it and nurture it. And this challenge will help celebrate your love in a practical way.
Well, so here's how this goes. Pick a time around Valentine's Day for the challenge. Give yourself 30 to 45 minutes for it. Decide on a place, either a restaurant or at home, where you aren't rushed or interrupted by kids or having to walk the dog. Then take the challenge. It consists of 10 questions that you will share with your spouse by each answering them, followed by a brief and easy romantic activity.
Well, the challenge is to complete the questions and activity with an open heart, a desire to get closer to your spouse, and the goal of celebrating and strengthening your relationship together. Here are just a few instructions.
Wherever you do this, sit where you can look at each other. These are questions you answer to each other. So take turns with each question. One person starts with question 1, for example, then the other person will answer question 1, and look at one another and share your answers. Now, it is important not to interrupt your spouse until they are finished. Give each other time to relax, answer the questions in as much depth as they wish, and enjoy the process. It is very important not to rush through this challenge, but to enjoy each question. Enjoy both hearing the other's answers and sharing your own. And that's the point of doing this, to share with each other in a way that maybe we sometimes don't do.
Well, there are 3 categories of questions. The first sections of questions are just for fun. You may think they have nothing to do with your marriage, but they simply allow you to share in some fun conversation together, and they are a way to ease into this. For example, question 1 is, if you could go to dinner with anyone in the world, not including a family member, who would it be? So who would be a famous or interesting person you'd like to have dinner with, and why? You might be surprised and interested who your spouse will pick. The second set of questions are get to know each other questions. These are questions that dig just a little deeper. For example, the first question in this section is, what do you think is the most important thing about friendship?
Well, the final set of questions focus on celebrating your marriage together, and they're a little more personal. As an example of these questions, the first question in this section is, tell your spouse 3 things you appreciate about him or her. For all these questions, share at whatever level is comfortable, but we'd encourage you to go beyond just surface answers as much as you can. Finally, there's an easy and fun romantic activity that you will probably want to do at home. So that's it. Would you like to celebrate and strengthen your marriage? If so, we invite you to take the Valentine's Day Marriage Challenge. Do you have the courage to take the challenge? I think you and your spouse will be glad you did. Click on the link below for the questions and instructions. And one more thing, we would encourage you to share this with others. Think about a couple you know who might enjoy this, whether neighbors or friends or grown children, and see if they too might like to take the Valentine's Day Challenge.
Well, that's it. Good luck. Happy Valentine's Day, and God bless you, your marriage, and your family.